And I'm doing my presentation on child abuse and neglect. Child abuse can result from physical, verbal, and sexual harm. While child abuse is often considered to take the form of action, there are also examples of inaction that cause harm, such as neglect. Things to be considered for reasons for child abuse: alcoholism, substance abuse, and anger issues. So therefore, like, a parent can be mad, they just want to drink alcohol or be mad and take it out on their child. Examples of abuse: burning, beating, kicking, or breaking bones. Verbal abuse, belittling them, or threatening physical or sexual acts. Emotional trauma can result from several forms of abuse. Child neglect. Child neglect is the failure to meet a child's basic needs, including housing, food, clothing, education, and access to medical care. The definition of a child neglect varies among states, agencies, and professional groups. Generally, child neglect can be defined as the failure to provide for a child's basic physical, emotional, or educational needs, or failure to protect a child from harm or potential harm. Child neglect includes physical neglect, is a failure to provide food, shelter, or appropriate supervision. Medical neglect is defined by many states as failing to provide needed medical or mental health care to a child. Educational neglect involves the failure of a parent or caregiver to educate a child or provide the special educational needs. Educational neglect is inattention to a child's emotional needs or failure to provide a psychological care. Failure to supervise is failing to ensure that a child is not exposed to unnecessarily dangerous activities or environments. Examples of successful treatment programs for children and families at risk for or with histories of abuse and neglect. Enhanced primary care provides opportunities for professionals to identify and address psychosocial problems within the family, parental depression, substance abuse, major stress, intimate partner violence that increase risk for child abuse and neglect. Safe environment for every kid. SEEK is located in the Center for Families within the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. The program identifies and manages targeted risk factors for child abuse and neglect for families with children through age 5 through screening and referrals within pediatric primary care. Prevent Child Abuse America. It advocates for policies, legislation, and programs that promote healthy child development and prevent child abuse and neglect from occurring in the first place. The public policy program operates on a national level, mobilizing support for federal policies and providing technical support to help facilitate effective advocacy at the state and local levels. Founded in 1972 in Chicago, Prevent Child Abuse America works to promote the healthy development of children and prevent child abuse before it occurs. Our 48-state chapter network works every day to promote the kind of strategies and activities that make a difference locally, as well as nationally, assisting nearly 100,000 families a year through our signature Healthy Families America's program. Programs to reduce child abuse and neglect. Trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy is a joint child and parent psychotherapy approach for children and adolescents ages 3 to 18 who are experiencing significant emotional and behavioral difficulties related to traumatic life events. Children with problematic sexual behavior. Cognitive Behavior Treatment Program provides family-oriented support therapy designed to reduce or eliminate incidents of sexual behavior problems. The program offers outpatient group treatments for children ages 6 to 12 years old and their parents or other caregivers. 10-year follow-up data indicated significant reductions in sex offenses for the CBT treatment program. Multi-systemic therapy is an intensive family and community-based treatment program that focuses on addressing all environmental systems that impact chronic and violent juvenile offenders, including homes and families, schools and teachers, and neighborhoods and friends. MST leads to improved parent-child interactions and parenting behaviors, decreased out-of-home placements, and fewer incidents of child abuse and neglect. Rural impact on child abuse and neglect. In 2010, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Child and Family released the fourth National Incident Study of Child Abuse and Neglect, which looked at the prevalence of maltreatment and endangerment in the United States, whether or not it is reported or investigated. The study found that rural children had approximately twice the rate of overall harm standard and endangerment standard maltreatment than urban children. That means rural children are twice as likely to be considered abused and or neglected by teachers, doctors, or other participating in the study. Rural impact tried to make it positive. The White House Rural Council has recognized the importance of addressing these challenges specifically for rural families who often have the fewest personal, public, and private resources. Their Rural Impact Initiative creates a collaborative of federal agencies and public and private resources to develop a multi-generational approach for investing in rural families and communities. At its core, Rural Impact attempts to maximize innovation, build public awareness, and invest in child care, early learning, education, and employment. Ideological facts. Approximately 1/4 of the cases investigated by CPS are substandard. Across America, 25% of supervisory neglect cases, 24% of sexual abuse cases, and 22% of physical neglect are substantiated. Caregivers' risk factors, including drug and alcohol abuse, mental health problems, and a recent arrest, increase the likelihood that a child maltreatment report is substantiated. Nearly 1/2 of the caregivers with 3 or more risk factors have a substantiated report, compared with the estimated 22% with only 1 or 2 risks and 11% of caregivers with no risk factors. Rural and urban community differences. Higher income children in families with incomes greater than 200% of the federal poverty level in rural areas are significantly more likely to have a report substantiated than those in urban places. Urban children in rural places are more likely to have a report substantiated 35% than those in urban areas, which is 23%. Caregivers in rural areas with active domestic violence or with cognitive impairment are more likely to have a case substantiated than similar urban caregivers. And that is my presentation.